Welcome back to our interview series. Today we are joined by founder and director of Moms at Work, Sher-li. She is a trailblazer and a part of Singapore's 40 over 40 for her work toward gender equity in the career path she has carved for women across Singapore, Hong Kong, and now Japan. What makes her work so compelling is the way she supports the multi-dimensional identities of women as mothers, founders, friends, and more. Today, we'll be exploring the intersections of motherhood, entrepreneurship, and impact, and what it means to build ecosystems that truly support women. Sher-li, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here.
Could you take us back to the moment where motherhood began to reshape your professional journey? What was that transition like for you personally, and how did this experience lead to Moms at Work?
I think motherhood transformed me even before I gave birth. Sadly, when I got pregnant, I had a very difficult pregnancy, and it wasn't affected, but I really felt the pain it took on my career. I used to travel quite a bit for my previous job, and it became a lot harder, and it made me start to think, if I have a child, is this the same lifestyle I want, meaning that I still travel, once or twice a month. And then in the midst of my pregnancy, I was recruited, headhunted actually into another role. I think it was the first time I met an organization that said, even though you're pregnant, we're going to take you because we think you have talent or you have potential. But it also got me thinking, what do I want out of life? Right? Do I still want to be the go-getter career that I have, or do I want to stop entirely? And so fast forward till my kid was born, about close to 2 years, I think, because we ran events, and by the time I was done, it was almost like 9 or 10. By the time I came home, baby was asleep. I got a call at that time from my late mom, and I think she had found some health issue, and they realized back then that it was cancer. The entire office was dark, and I'm sitting there alone with the phone in my hand, and then I thought, you know what? There's life, there's work, and there's life. And there must be some way that we feel and somehow coexist. Because at that moment, I really felt it. Both sides are pulling you, differently. And that's when I had my first idea of running Moms at Work. So I kind of started it. It was a side thing initially. And then my child at that time needed me more and more. And my mom needed more. So I started to fighting for my job, and then Moms at Work declined. Yeah, and I think it's been around for 15 years now. We're 15 years old. Yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful. I think it is so powerful to transform personal challenges and create them into collective experiences that can benefit all. And so I wanted to ask, what needs and gaps were you trying to address, not just for yourself, but for other working mothers?
I think at that time, one of the things that hit me hard was women. It's really tough. We build a wonderful career, and then we become mothers, and then there's caregiving. And then suddenly you're asked to kind of make a choice. Do you want to continue building your career, or do you want to stop entirely, right? It's that sense of I don't have a choice. I have choose that made me feel very conflicted. And I knew talking to friends, talking to other moms, they felt the same way. So the concept I had for Moms at Work was, can I provide an alternative platform, right? And so what we started off doing was we listed flexible arrangements, either work from home, part-time, or have flexible hours. They also, as I started to realize that women had no choice but to stop entirely because they were full-time caregivers. But when they were ready to come back into work, the workplace and society was judgmental. It's not there, right? And then so we partner companies to run return shifts back to work hiring program. It was already 2 different platforms. So either you continue working, have flexible work arrangements, or you take a break, and then when you're ready to come back, you run all these different events that will help you find a job again, right? Despite a career break. And then the third group was what we call the mom communities. So they take care of their babies and their kids, and they run a business from home, a lot of online businesses. So we have always believed very strongly in that. That's our real mission, our entire plan. And over the years, I've seen the moms evolve. Some will start off by running a business. Even if they fail, they've learned something and they pick up skills. So by the time the children are older, they say, oh, great, I can come back to work now. And when they apply for jobs, they are seen as quite relevant because they've still been kind of picking up some tech skills on the side, things like that. For those who still want to continue working, then they flexible work offer, that's where they can find out what jobs are available.
Yeah, I just think it's so inspiring to see women like you and Sadie of SmileHome who have had experience in the professional industry but chose to go back and start their own entrepreneurship endeavors. It's a very huge leap into the unknown, but it responds to many critical problems in society and overall leaves a beautiful impact. Your work has no doubt impacted countless of women. And I just wanted to ask if there was a story or a moment from maybe a client, a mentee, or just another mom within the community that has reminded you why this work is so needed.
I think over the years, because we place so many women back to work, it's pretty amazing. I would say when sometimes I'm walking along the street and comes up to me and says, "You may not know my ass, but because of you, I was able to continue working part-time. I switched 2 jobs in the last 10 years, and they were really thanks to your couple." I've also heard stories of women who feel very trapped in their job. They told me they will look at the job and they will tell themselves, "This is what she told me." I will look at it and tell myself, I will be brave enough to step out because there is something out there. I'm guessing that these are the little moments that help women because we are all at different stages of our lives, right? And the truth is not one of us has the exact same situation. But I believe in empowerment. There is empowerment through the words that you say, the ideas that you share. And then there's also the tactical empowerment, which is you want a job, there's a job. You want to start a business, these are the ways to help them. So I think there's no excuse anymore. It's really up to you as a woman to say, to take the next step. And the tools are all there for you. So I think over the years, every time I hear one of these stories or I get emails from these moms, it's very gratifying to me because then I know that we're doing something right. We list about, on the average, 8 to 10 new jobs per week, and they usually get filled up. And we've got big employers. And I remember there was a firm that said to me, my entire company of being over were built up from you. And so in 15 years, so this employer is always loving me. He's always hiring me. He goes on media shows to say, you have to hire a mom back to work. And he's like a real supporter. But I think it's because he's so out it's true that, that a lot of times women are not given the same opportunities. And I think that's where the big focus is.
Yeah, I think that's very amazing that you give that space to women that truly want to employ those tools so they can choose their path in life and not feel stuck and trapped. And now I'm going to bring it over to Japan. Why was Japan the next place that called to you? What made this market feel aligned to your mission?
Yeah, actually, to be honest, we also did work in Hong Kong. So that was the first place we expanded, but it's smaller. We only deal with the finance industry. So it was really because there was the bank that said, hey, we need you to come over. And so we helped them. And then Japan was because I lived in Japan many years ago. I lived in Akita. So it's like a countryside place. But I remember a lot of my very good friends, they were very educated women. They were brilliant employees and workers. A few of them stopped to look after their children. And I always regularly kept up with them. Some of them feel a little bit down because they feel almost like they were showing me, actually, all I do is just look after my kids. They go, yeah, it is. But when the kids are older, and most of them are in high school, and then the ladies would tell me, I feel like, what if I had a different path? What if I had continued working? What would it have been like? And it just got me thinking that, hey, maybe that's the thing, right? If maybe there were options that allow more women to think about, maybe I can continue, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that, right? So that was one of the main drivers that we decided to try to move to Japan and expand in Japan. Another reason was also because I met wonderful people. And I always feel like, it is an aging population. And increasingly, it will be harder and harder to maintain. There is a shop I like very, very much in Africa. I've been back a few times. But eventually, it's an older couple. They have one kid only, and the kid moved to the city. They run a pasta shop. It's very, they run it. And I think the last visit I went back, they said to me, we're going to close it because we have no young people who want to take over. And that was the thing that got to me. I said, this is it. We don't have enough people who can continue the business. So maybe the potential of considering moms means that there's a greater progression that we are looking at talent that's not probably being, utilized. Then you don't have to close businesses. You don't have to make businesses smaller. That is how I see it.
Yeah, this reminds me of SmileHome's decision to center the voices and needs of foreigners in the housing search because of Japan's decreasing population. Because it's been posing many challenges across many sectors, and Moms at Work has taken up the challenge of addressing that societal change. And I'm curious, from your perspective at Moms at Work, what are your thoughts on the role SmileHome has played in addressing population decline and creating more supportive infrastructures for foreigners living in Japan?
Yeah. When Sadie introduced the concept to me, I really liked it. I said, this is it. I think when you are a foreigner trying to move into a country, even if language is not a problem, for example, it is always so lovely to know that someone has your back, right? Someone is trying to support you. I think this is what it is, right? Finding a home, finding a very reliable home to live in, to stay is essential. It's where you come back to. So I think the idea that there is a platform that makes me feel like, I can trust this platform. I can put in information about what I need, and it's very clearly communicated. I think that was really something that was very meaningful and useful, because if you think about it, you have so many things to adjust to. And if your home is not even, a place you want to be. So I think when you first told me how it works and how it is to ensure that the communication gaps are kind of covered. And I feel that there are cultural differences. I mean, even though I'm Asian, it is very different. When I lived in Japan, I moved house 4 times. One of them I left because I will say this on air now, many years later, I'm very convinced that the apartment I was in was haunted. And I couldn't communicate this, and I kept trying to explain. And eventually, at the time, there's no free dictionary. I had to try to describe what a ghost was to the Budosa. And then he said, I think you're trying to tell me your house is haunted. And so they still refused to let go of the agreement and everything. This was many years ago. And I remember how difficult that situation was. But I can only imagine if there were platforms that were very clear from the beginning to say, hey, this is what I need, this is what I want. So anything that minimizes miscommunication, I feel it's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think that SmileHome and Moms at Work is offering that platform for people to list all the concerns that they have and to be met with, support and care, and showing them another path that they can actually take and, fulfill whatever vision that they've had. Yeah. Unique cultural or structural differences did you notice when bringing your mission into the Japanese context in terms of Moms at Work? And how did you adapt your approach to meet those differences?
I think when it comes to differences in culture, obviously the role of women is a huge difference, which is probably the real basis of how Moms at Work operates, right? But I think doing business in Japan has been interesting because Singapore, although people don't always agree about in Japan, it's really more, everything's very subtle. So if, you're not very happy about something, you cannot, it's actually quite rude to say it directly. But I feel in Japan, it's a little bit more gentle. You cannot say that something's not working out. Because I've lived it before, I'll say it has its own merits, right? It's actually a good thing. But when you have this clash in the way points are brought up or communicated, it's a huge gap. That's one. I think another thing that I've seen quite different is this concept that for women anyway, the role of a mother, the responsibilities of a mother, it's a lot more in Japan. I feel that a lot of the infrastructure has not been built to support female caregivers. If you have to caregive, it's really hard to find support, right? You have to do a lot of things yourself. So that takes your time. And in that sense, I think Singapore has done a really good job. And I think Japan is also pushing in the direction, but it's not really taken on. So that's a huge impact on why Moms at Work is also needed in Japan. And of course, I mentioned communication differences. Another thing that I feel that is quite different between Japan and Singapore is that Singapore is actually a country that, because we have so many different races and languages actually, there's a sense of this idea that you can conform, but you don't have to entirely.
Yeah, I think catering each country to the needs and challenges is definitely going to help women, especially here in Japan. I think bringing Moms at Work to Japan is definitely a huge help, and so, I'm just curious to know if you would expand your reach beyond Hong Kong, Singapore, and Japan in the future, and what dreams and visions are you holding for this next chapter?
I think Japan's very big, but Japan has been, I would say it has, well, I personally don't see it as challenging. My colleague does, which will speak a lot of Japanese, but we both are learning. It's almost like there are many things that we see and we realize, oh, this is the different way of doing it. We understand. But so I think for now, at least we're going to focus on these two markets. But if we do expand, I think we might go into Indonesia, which is a totally different ballgame. Someone asked me about try outside of Asia. So I think we'll stay within Asia for sure. But at least for now, I think I'll go where I know women are trying to, perhaps the best thing to say is the women are trying to speak up, but there hasn't been enough platforms for it to happen. So I think that's my plan.
Thank you for sharing your vision. I think that is so beautiful, giving women that platform to, have more autonomy, have more sovereignty in their careers and their futures. I think that's extremely beautiful. And to close, for any woman that is navigating a transition in her life, whether that's a mother balancing career and motherhood, or for others who are dreaming of starting something new, what is one piece of wisdom you would give?
I see this a lot with all the women that I work with. I think women need shortchange. We always think, maybe I cannot do this, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe this job is too difficult. I say this to women all the time. I think they're very, very strong gender. And I would say that, have a bit of faith in yourself. If there's something that you truly believe in and you truly want to do, or you feel really uncomfortable about something, find small ways to adjust, find small ways to speak up, and be brave enough to ask for help, brave enough to tell someone that I want to give this a try. And when you started something, whether it's start a business, work, tell your husband really well, it doesn't matter. The minute you start it, it's one step forward. So that little bravery for whatever it is that you do, I hope you find that inside you. So I think that's what is very important. Yeah, that's my advice.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your wisdom, and your stories with us. It's creating new possibilities for women across Asia and beyond, because, I'm from the US, across the globe, and I can personally say that your work has impacted me. So thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. If you'd like to learn more about the work that Moms at Work is doing, their website is linked below. And if you're currently searching for a home in Tokyo, SmileHome is here to support you every step of the way. From browsing listings to moving services, we are here to help you secure your dream home stress-free. You can find all the links and details down in the description box below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more conversations on real estate, culture, and the stories shaping life in Japan.